Hi everybody, Mature Simmer here. So, welcome. Figured I'd give you a peek at just some of the work going on here. So, what I am sharing, and this will be more of a working video than anything else, but I'll be giving you enough information that hopefully if you're interested in doing this yourself, that you're going to be familiar with what you need to do. So I'm here at O'Hare. I'm actually at the FS Dream Team O'Hare Airport, which is a payware airport. But because I fly out of this airport a lot, I'm based out of it from one of my carriers. I think it's my United carrier. I'm using, just an American livery plane here to get things done and so forth. But I am continuing work on editing the gates so GSX can work with them. So I'm sitting here over at K16, I believe it is. Let me just make sure. It might be K19. You can just, no, it's K16. So, and again, the FS Dream Team has those things. So this is a heavy gate. And basically, I'm going to show you a little bit on the next one, but I was going to wait until I started the next gate, but then I'm like, some of the unique placement challenges or things you just want to think about come into play, especially as we're getting to the end of the terminal here. So, I've done all those gates there. I've done the same on the other side. We're just getting to the tail end here of the K terminal. I've probably been working for 4 hours and basically gotten through, I think, the F, G, H, and again, a lot of the K terminal in that time, but I'm also getting pretty good at it. So basically the process is pretty straightforward. You're basically moving things around. So what I'm doing is I'm parking the equipment. So, and that includes the plane. So, again, you can see I'm at the 777-737 marker. Not all airports have this. You're going to have to position it based on the gate. You're going to have to do the best thing you can do. Again, we'll get into all the pieces. I'll explain very quickly next gate. I'll fly through and kind of show you what my normal process is so that you can kind of get an idea of what the timing is. But after you do a few things with the plane and so forth, you start getting the equipment. So the pushback truck I just moved over here. It initially started out in the building, and basically what you're doing to jump around is you're using the F4 and the F1. F4 is next object, F1's previous object. You can actually kind of see that in the overlay up here. But, the faster you get used to things. And basically your numpad is also something important because your enter key on the numpad is kind of in GSX editing what gets you to commit what you've done. Alright, so I'm going to hit F4. That's going to take me over to the baggage front train. And then I'm just using kind of the drone camera as kind of what it puts you into, and then you just kind of figure out what you're doing. So shift, front arrow gives you big steps with the arrow keys. I'm using the non-shift to kind of fine-tune this, and then again F4, get things close. And, I'm doing what I can to make it look as realistic as possible. So I'm trying to stay out of the roadway and so forth. Again, I know what's coming next. Again, this is a heavy gate, so we've got a lot of room. The baggage, it's cargo, but we're not, this isn't a cargo facility. So I'm going to put this there. We're going to rotate, which is F7, F8. Which is going to take some bigger steps, and then we're going to go ahead and get that in there. We'll back this up, and that looks pretty good. So I'm going to hit enter. So you'll see it puts us back in the plane, and we kind of vanish, and then the interface is going to come up. So you can see I'm working on, again, 18. I know it's a heavy because it told me that. And then basically the other thing I'm doing is pushback. So I've got on my Navigraph, I've got my airport chart up. So I guess to help. So K19 is here, and again, it can be difficult to see things. So, You do the best you can, but I know, or 16 is here. So basically, I'm kind of trying to figure out, and so this is the piece here, like this gate is probably the first gate that I can go both ways, where all of these gates, one of the things we do in GSX is we modify, so if you've ever used GSX as it comes out of the box, you're going to have exactly what you have, nose right, tail left, nose left, tail right, and you get those choices. In this case, we're probably still going to maintain both of those, but because this is a customization, and if you're using air traffic and so forth, they're not going to tell you back out left, right. They're going to tell you face a direction. So what I try to do then is to do that. And so basically here, I'm using this center line to go ahead and position the heavies because they're wider, so I don't want to be there. The wingspan would be too small. Sure, they could go ahead and drive out, and if a lot of people play without collisions, like you could clip through a plane, it'd be okay. But if I'm going to go through the effort, I'm going to make it as realistic as I can. Again, F7, F8 to rotate. So that image of the plane is basically where the pushback's going to go. In a lot of pushbacks, you can do just one thing. You can now see there's a green arrow. Up until a certain point, there really wasn't. But what I need to do then is position my camera again because I want to look through that little box. And so I'm going to go here and basically line it up on the line. And then now I'm using Shift and then numpad 3 and numpad 1 is moving me around. And then without the Shift, I just kind of fine tune it. And once again, a lot of times I'll go out and then you can look at the line passing through the plane from front to back, see if it's on the roadway. And then again, eyeball it. Yeah, this looks realistic, so we're good. And then because I can see the chart, I know that when they back out there, they're going to be facing southeast. So I am going to go ahead and put facing southeast on apron, and then that is what will display when someone using this profile for GSX is at this gate and asking for pushback. And then you know you've customized the pushback because you start getting latitude, longitude, and heading. You're not going to have that if it's just kind of the calculated gate. So GSX is a little finicky, so periodically you're going to have to restart the coaxial engine and things like that. So it's kind of a pain in the butt in that regard. I have Task Manager running. It allows me to see if things are happening or not. But you can see the default, it basically like is saying, hey, I'm going to move it. And then the plane, I guess it just ignores it. But as soon as you move, like as soon as I touch this, you'll see now the arrows go where I did it. So now what I'm doing, because I'm going to push out, is I'm going to give myself the option to basically head that way. So we're going to get close. We're going to then shift back arrow to shove things back. Again, we're going to reposition ourselves. Again, the taxiway with everything running. If I can keep my plane on this side of the double dashed line, that would be great. But with a heavy, that's probably going to be unlikely. And again, rotate with numpad 1 and 3. For some fine points, you can do F7 and F8 for a little quicker. So I'm going to back this up a little bit more. And I'm going to take that and say that's good. So this, with the gate that I'm at, this is basically facing northeast on, or I'm sorry, southwest on apron. So just getting my directions a little mixed up. So we hit apply, and we're now done with gate K16, and then we move over to gate K18. K18 is just going to be right next to where we were at. I always like to do the parking first, just because. So again, where we were, it kind of leaves us where we were, and now here we are. So I'm going to just quickly So I'm going to go ahead and kind of do this gate at the pace that I normally do, without a lot of commentary, and then I'll explain what I'm doing next time. So we've got the plane positioned. Whoops. Yeah, no, that actually worked. I just lost my viewpoint. So now the next thing, the parking system, which is a way of saying the marshal. Again, you might not be able to see the marshal from the plane if he's that far back because of the jetway here. So I kind of position them there, and then this is the stop point for the plane. So we want to, again, line up the 737 on the 737, and in theory it should then adjust the other planes accordingly, and then that gets us back to the push truck that you had joined the channel on that I had already placed. So again, I'm putting it in that location, just trying to get it out of the way. But you can see, like, default placement, you know, it's sitting on the pole, like the jetway's on the baggage cart. So, like, you know, we don't want that. So, whoops, gotta leave that, gotta move to the next one. And so again, we'll go around this side. And you know, the idea is you're putting it in spaces that are going to look good most of the time. Not everybody that uses this is going to have other aircraft going around. You know, you could also look at it, you know, maybe the jetway's just sitting that way if there isn't a plane at that gate. And so you want the equipment to spawn, which is what we're setting here when we do that. You want it to spawn in a way that would make sense, that, you know, hey, it's clear in the airport in a normal circumstance. Now, it's possible, you know, the jetway could have been moved, and then if I had something, say, in front of the wheels here, like suddenly the jetway would clip through it. But, you know, you do what you can. You're actually coming in at a point now where it's not too terribly challenging, because, again, we're dealing with heavy gates, so there's a lot of real estate around the plane. But when we have medium or small gates, it gets a little bit tighter. So again, I don't have the baggage handlers together. Where they were placed by default was in the parking area for the gate. So once again, kind of a stupid way to do it. But if you don't modify your GSX profile, that is what GSX will do for you. Like, it'll just spawn things. And so the intent of doing this is to give people who use this airport, especially since this is a pay-where airport, it's like, give them the VIP experience of, hey, you not only have this beautiful scenery, but now you have a functioning airport that makes a lot of sense. So once again, because we're at the end, we're likely going to keep both locations. You know, and this video is probably going to be pretty long. I don't know that I'm going to do a whole lot of editing, honestly. It might be pretty raw because, like I said, you know, think of this as a live stream that isn't, I suppose. But it's kind of a working session here. And again, trying to just come up with something realistic. You know, again, we'll move it over a little bit there because it's a heavy. It's going to block things no matter what we do. And again, we're in 18, so this, again, now we're facing basically northeast. You know, the problem is we're kind of going around a turn here, but it gets you close enough that hopefully, if air traffic is telling them face east, they'll know, and if it tells them face west, it'll make sense, you know. So they might not say northeast or southwest, but I know, like, beyond ATC, like, it does do that. But you can see the curved tarmac, and obviously there's, you know, no way to really tell what the direction is on the screen, so you need to do some other things. And again, you know, big movements first, and then if you need to fine-tune it, again, my goal is to not take forever, and, you know, it's just way more realistic than what it would have done otherwise. So, and once again, because it's an active taxiway and it's O'Hare, okay, so now what we're having is the crash that I talked about that GSX has. So what I'm doing is I'm monitoring the task manager, and I'm looking for Quaddle to potentially start up again. Sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it does, sometimes you have to manually start it. So again, it's like Quaddle Engine for GSX, I think is the app itself. So you can, yeah, like this looks like it's really crapped out here, which it'll do sometimes. And it's not uncommon that sometimes you just need to completely get out of Flight Simulator and start things over again. Because, yeah, like right now, it's not, you know, and the thing is, like, it's not that it's unresponsive, it's just I can't even get the menu right now. So, let's see. It's doing some stuff with Chrome, which is there. So let me see. I'm going to try to now manually start it. So there we go. We've got sound. And so then what you have to do, and this is hard to explain, you can see now it's running this, and there's a good amount of CPU usage. What I've found is until it kind of quiets down, so once it does that, it's usually pretty good. It's basically not really ready. It's like firing up. And now how you get into the editing that I was doing is this customize airport positions. You can also customize the airplane. I'm not worried about any of that. Most of the airplanes I have already have all of that. You would need to do customize airplane if you had a unique airplane and things like that. So at this point, like normally it's pretty good even when it crashes. I've not noticed that, hey, it hasn't saved things. So I don't know, usually go back and double check. But again, I didn't get to the point of facing southwest on apron. So I didn't get to do that because it was coming back to this screen and then it burped on me. So 19. Now this is then up around the top. So customize parking. But you kind of get to see the pattern. Basically, do the parking, do the pushbacks. And, you know, there's other things you can do, stairs, this and that. So the positions are there if you cycle through F4. It's just, you know, I'm not using them and they're not here. And so they don't spawn unless, you know, but if they're going to spawn, like you can go ahead and set that. But again, this is O'Hare. Sure, in an emergency or something where the jetway's broken, yeah, I might go ahead and need stairs, but I'm not really worried about it. I'll just let whatever the default placement is happen, because there's 200 some gates here. I'm not going to be editing every piece of equipment, or I'll be here forever. As I said, you know, it's taken me 4 hours to do maybe 30 gates, 40 gates. So now we'll move to the parking system. I'm pushing the shift front up arrow to bring them closer, get them out of the building, obviously. And then again, I need to reposition the stop point for the plane. And I think this is all aligned, you know, to help it align with the jetway and so forth. I'm not as well versed as to what is actually happening. Okay, so the pushback truck, and sometimes you don't even know where this stuff is until you start playing with it and moving it around. And so rather, you know, you don't have to feel like, oh gee, I gotta look and figure it out. I'm trying to keep it outside the parking line is what I'm doing. So again, the next thing, oh, I'm sorry, no, it does the baggage first, so ignore the next thing, getting ahead of myself. All right, and now I'm going to the numpad, but I'm still using shift numpad, and that's non-shift, so you can see you can really fine-tune things. So let's see, we'll go ahead and do that, and then I'll probably put it on this other side of that, because sometimes that will show up in the scenery, and again, if I can keep things clean, great. But what I was saying is here, this is an example of what it's doing. So you can see cargo train main over here. It's always an orange circle. It's showing you which way it's facing. So if I had the big cargo things that will load like a UPS truck, and they're loading those giant things on an airplane, that's where the main train would spawn. But again, this is a passenger gate. I'm not worried about that here. So even though it lets me place it in the event that someone decides to fly a cargo plane out of here, all right, well, the wingspan is there, and part of that is because as two planes come in, in the gate to my right, I think they're going to align a little bit differently, so we're going to get that, and I'm basically using the shift and arrow keys to make all those movements, and usually that's enough. So all right, so we're there. So operators, if you wanted to get to it, you can literally go ahead and assign which operator is going to work each gate. I may come back and do that in this airport, but there is so much work editing these gates. I've probably got 20 hours of time into this airport as it is right now. All right, so the one thing here, you can see there's a copy. I'll show you how to do that later, but another way you can move quickly is if you have a bunch of gates. So, well, we'll just customize here and get back out into the drone view when we look at it. So, it's not perfect, but let's say, when we get to these gates, because that's the L terminal, so we'll be editing those in that video. At some point, probably this gate here, because again, I think these are all heavy gates. If you basically have a pushback path that is going to be the same, and all that changes is the starting point and kind of the ending point, and they're in essence the same path, you can copy it, and then all you have to do is tweak things. So instead of getting that default that we're getting, like in this case, when we go back, we're just going to have the arrows where it thinks it's going, but the plane silhouette itself is going to be out there. It takes what you've already put in a customized location, and you can see that kink in the arrow, for example, because like the plane is going to face this way when it pushes back, so it's kind of showing you what the pushback route would be. And anytime you've got a sharp kink like that, I'd say you haven't designed a really solid pushback route. It's just gonna look ridiculous when people are using it. So my vote, don't do that. Let's see. Probably okay because we're kind of at the roadway, but this way again we're keeping as much of the taxiway open as we can. So I'm going to leave that there. And again, given that this is 19, I'm going to go ahead and just say we're facing north, even though we're not fully north, but you're pushing out to head north and to go to the runways on the north end of the airport if you're doing that. Sorry, lost my voice there. I don't know why. Drink some water. That might help. All right, but now we'll go ahead and in this case, I'm going to be facing southeast on the apron. And so that's exactly what I did, is I generated those for some earlier gates, and then I already have the name partially there. I just need to get copy of done. But you'll see now when I go back here, and we're having another problem. No, it came back. Okay. We're having another problem. Because the other thing that I didn't get to say, if it wasn't obvious, like where you're laying out your equipment, when you're doing pushback, it'll all pop in. So you're still going to get perspective. That helps you see, like, hey, is my taxi path suddenly taking the plane, like, literally over where the equipment is parked, which obviously you'd prefer not to do that. So, lots of benefits. So we're going to push back here, but basically, the challenge is, like, I was using it safe. Let's say I copied it. K15 might be a bad example because the angle's about the same, but I realistically copied it from one of these gates, K13 or K9, and those are, at a 90-degree angle from my taxi paths. That gate is obviously at a different angle, so while it gets me close, I still have to adjust things. Whoops, I don't know what I just... Alright, I hit F9, which I've never done, and I'm like, I don't know what that does. So what I think it does is it just basically negates everything I did and makes me start over, which there could be worse things, so I'm not going to complain too much. Again, control 1 and then num on the, and then just arrow without the arrow pads without the shift to do that last little bit. And then, yeah, so this is where it's good. Like, I'm not lined up on the taxi path. Probably want to move over a little bit. But this is where, like, unless you're floating right over it, and again, is anyone going to notice this, you know, couple degrees that you're off? Probably not. And again, I'm going to push back a little bit. Again, it's a heavy, so it's going to have some good movement. And we've got the taxi path done. So there are some things that can help you speed things along. And we've got one more here at the K concourse, and then we're going to be heading over to L, as you can see. All right, so K20, you can see the planes over there. I don't know why when you're, all I'm literally doing is rotating, but maybe, I don't know. I don't know why it tilts, but use an Xbox controller to move my drone, so it's the button, not the, I don't know, the shoulder buttons, I guess, is the best way to describe it, that does the rotation of the camera that way if you need it. So again, plane, marshal, move them up, stop position, move it back, get it close, push back, truck. Usually I need to move things out, and again, if you can position your camera in a way that you can see everything, you can save yourself a little bit of time. So shift, arrows, rotate around. Gonna go ahead and try to get that in the lines. There we go. Get him out of the post, but keep him from showing up and encroaching in that area. Move him forward. Same type of thing. We're gonna need to get him back a little bit. I'm trying to keep him out of the roadway, so I'm doing fine-tuning. And I'm debating if I want to move those or leave them there, but I'm gonna move them. You know, maybe, you know, you might decide when you're setting up and doing your work, wherever you're doing it, that you want to do it differently. But this is how I'm going to lay this gate out. So there we go. Equipment done. And so you can see, as long as things are working, as long as GSX isn't crashing on you, this isn't horrendous. And again, you could get into ridiculous amounts of minutia. All right, so this is interesting. I don't know why, because this isn't a custom, but somehow it is just lost as to what it should do here. So we'll see if we can get this cleaned up. All right, that looks better. Because why the green arrow would have gone under that jetway or whatever, I couldn't tell you. So again, because we're further around the turn than we were on the other gate, I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'm probably going to call this northeast as opposed to just north, because that really is the way we're facing, and that likely in this case would be the way ATC might call it out to you. Now, I was doing this naming convention before Beyond ATC came out and I was using it, so the good news is, you know, that has helped. And so, you know, you're always waiting for things to appear. But yeah, that path is interesting because it's not like it has another waypoint. But I wonder what GSX, but that would be the perfect example. Like if I didn't edit this, your plane would do that. Like it would literally push it back through the jetway and then like turn it around and push it. And you'd be like, what is happening? So this is another reason. And so, you know, you don't have to do what I'm doing, which is taking care of the entire airport. I am only doing that, and I would advise only doing that for airport. I hit F9 again. All right, I'm trying to rush because, again, there's just a lot of time and work, and I'd like to move along. I would advise doing this to this level, every gate, every whatever, only for airports that you're using a lot. So let's see, we'll do facing south on apron because we are pretty much around the turn at that point. And so concourse K is done. And again, you can copy things from other terminals. So what I did do on the beginning here, K1 to K4, and let me kind of show you the logic. Okay, so K1, 2, 3, and 4 are there. It's probably impossible to see on the video, but trust me. They're coming out here. They're in essence feeding. A similar configuration that I had was over here in G1A, G1B. So I copied what I had, and that gave me because these require complex pathways. You're going to see that immediately when we start the next terminal, because I'm going to start doing L1, L3, and L6, or L3A and L3C. So you're going to see how that works, but you don't necessarily have to start over. So, you know, if I really look at that, like I would say, you know, L1A is very close to K3 as far as the angle and what I need to do and where it lives and so forth. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to go to K3, and I am going to use this button here, copy this slot into the clipboard, and I'm going to come down here to J, and again I can look and say, okay, that was the right direction. And it really doesn't matter, because when you only have one choice, the person's not going to know that you put it in left or right. Because if you leave the words out, like you don't know. And this really is, in essence, going to be facing southeast on the apron. It's still, on those first few gates, the L concourse dumps you out that way. So similarly, you know, I would do the same thing then for L3. So I'm just going to go right down here. And the nice thing, as long as you've copied and you don't do something else, it's sitting there in your clipboard for you to use. Okay, so L2A and L2C are then on the inside, the same side that we were editing against the K terminal. Those are very similar to, say, I'm going to go say H3A is very similar to that. So I'm going to open this up, and I'm going to go in here, and again I'm going to copy, and now I'm going to go down to 2A. Let me see. Yeah, all right. And we're going to go down to 2A, and again I'm putting those here. And so translate and mirror also lets you flip things. So if you've got, let's, you know, if, for example, I had you know, terminals that I had gates on both sides and everything was almost exactly mirrored on the other side, that just flips things. So think of it almost like you know, flipping on the edge of double-sided paper when you're printing is what translate and mirror is. But now what I've done is I basically, you know, and I want right, so I can go ahead and do this and save myself some time later, apply that. And so basically what that does is it saves and protects the player or the simmer from themselves, basically, is probably the nicest way to say that. So, all right. But what we'll do is now we'll jump in, but hopefully we've saved ourselves some time. And now these are medium gates. So these are going to be a little bit tighter. So again, the plane moves, again, because I know where I'm at. You know, it's going to be on the other side of this. But basically, gates L2A and L2C are the ones down here. So you can see L2A, L2C. And then on the other side here, we're going to have L1A and L3. So those are what we copied to. But you can see, like, what I don't want, and when I say protect the simmer from themselves, like reversing out and picking a pushback that then points you that way, that can be significantly problematic in a plane like this, because it's not like I can then turn in this space incredibly easily. You know, and you can see, like, in theory, in L1, like, well, which is kind of goofy, it's, you know, like push it all the way out. And if we hadn't copied over that, what you would have seen is default GSX, that's what it will do. With almost all of these gates, it'll shove you all the way out there. which is not really, I mean, I've flown out of O'Hare enough. I promise you, they're not pushing you back that far. They're getting you clear. But we have to do some unique things when we're here because, again, I need to be facing out. So I, in essence, need to be facing this way. But I don't have a whole lot of room to, I mean, here I can move the plane maybe. So I might keep it simpler. I don't know. Normally I wouldn't, but I'll show you what the pushback path looks like when we get there. Let's obviously get what we need done first, so we can see the painted signs, and they do change sides, so you sometimes need to just pay attention. So that's just the 737. Again, got to move the guy out of the building, and then that one's almost where it needs to be. Pushback truck is stuck in the building. We can get it there. Maybe we'll turn it so that it's like facing. Okay, that's too much with the shift, so we'll do it. And you can't hold. I've discovered you do have to just repeatedly hit the keys. So we got that. We'll move that out. Move that over, so we're good. But again, because I don't have the camera quite positioned, and you know what? I think that's technically, no, those are like a baggage thing. So yeah, I was gonna say I could leave it there. I thought it was a wall, but it's not a wall. But yeah, it doesn't make sense. I don't think it's animated. I don't think there's any bags that come down there. But again, if I'm taking the time to do this, both for myself and to share with other people, like, I care enough to send the very best. It's a Hallmark commercial. No, so, I want to if I'm going to take the time, like, let's do it at least reasonably well, is kind of how I'm looking at it. So once again, I'm going to be facing southeast on the apron. We can clear that. We got to apply. If you don't hit apply and you hit customize, like, it basically doesn't save. It doesn't warn you. So again, because it populated all that, I know it's good. I know things didn't crash. We're a little tilted. Okay. So now what you're going to see, well, you know what? I'm wondering. Okay, no, this does have it. So you can see this path, if I left it, what I've copied is a path that in essence would push me through the terminal, turn me around, and bring me back. Because normally that's kind of what you're going to want to do. I might have enough room to simplify this, and honestly, because it's a medium, I might be able to just push it up against the building. But the question becomes, like, would that happen in real life? And I don't know enough about airport operations to say for certain, but I would think pushing a jet like this basically up against the building, it's dangerous. Like, what if you go too far and you suddenly smash the plane into the building? Now the plane can't take off because you've potentially done damage. You might have done damage to the building, and now, this is the only way to get over to these other gates. Now suddenly you've shut that whole part of the airport down. I mean, luckily it's what they call the stinger, is what it shows up as, the stinger concourse. So I don't know that you do that. So I'm going to just make the complex pushback like I normally would. So what happens now is the pathway is defaulted to the plane, as always. So if I start moving, like, I'm going to move this final plane. So, and again, this is still an indicator of where do I want the plane when I'm done. And so for all intents and purposes, again, I want the plane kind of clear. So I'm going to put the plane there. Okay? And again, this is all now, because I've moved that, it's changed the path a little bit. It still goes in the building. It does a lot of other things that don't make a lot of sense. Again, this is where this starts to get a little confusing now. Again, there's some wonderful documentation. It does take some discerning, but basically, again, you're using F4 and F1 to pick objects. The objects we're picking now are waypoints. So I'm going to go F1, and that's going to pick a waypoint that if I float over here, I can see it. I know what I'm looking at, but you don't know. So this is waypoint 2, and the end point is basically then waypoint 3, but that is why it's moving me into the building. And what I'm going to need, because I know I have 2 and then I just have 1, and 1 is right there, so that's where that'll be. To make this movement, I know I need at least 3 waypoints, so I'm going to actually keep this. And again, the plane facing that way is fine, but what I need to do is move this, and I need to then take a look at what this does, because what I don't want to do is suddenly have a taxi path that if there are planes here, that I'm suddenly like going in there. This actually looks like it still might work, but I don't know. Alright, let me do that, because once the green goes away it's too sharp, but it might be too sharp because of where that point is. So what I'm now going to do, and this is where this gets really, really powerful. So I'm going to move this forward, get it closer to the plane, and I'm going to do that and move it over. I know what I'm doing. I'm going to explain what I'm doing once I have it taken care of, and I kind of like what I have. I don't know that I can do much better. So F4 gets me back to the waypoint. Now I'm going to pull this back a little bit more, and then let's see, can I get it? See, but then we have that. Well, that's actually probably as good as I'm going to get. So I mean, there is the reality that you can't make it perfect. If there are planes, if there are large planes, they're sticking out, like, you may end up clipping through other things. You could put more waypoints in, you know, and at that point I'd make the argument, like, if you're going way out here, the problem is, like, this doesn't get any wider. If we look at this, the width that I have to maneuver without encroaching on the gates is the same. So, but basically, that is now the taxi path this will take. And so F5 and F6 will let you insert and remove waypoints. F5 is the remove key. So basically, if I'm here at waypoint 2, that's my active waypoint. If I was to hit F5 now, it'll delete waypoint 1. It's always dealing with the waypoint before where you're at. So similarly, if I was to hit F6, I would insert a waypoint in between 1 and 2, and then the one I'm on would be renumbered to 3, and we'd go from there. But at this point, that is my taxi path. But the benefit was, like, I didn't have to place the waypoints. I already had enough waypoints to work with, and because it was clearly similar enough to the other gate, like, I had the right amount of waypoints. There's some things in this airport that I just did in this 4-hour session where I've got 5 waypoints, because the way I have to maneuver around, that's the way I did it. It was the only way I could make it work that made sense. Alright, but we've got that gate done, and now we can go over here to L2AJ, and that's going to be on the other side. You can see the plane. Again, hopefully I'm not making anyone sick. It's kind of a cool thing. I might need to use it in some videos, like flyovers and whatever. Where is the... There it is. Like, where are the markings is what I was looking for. I know where is the, like, read my mind. What am I thinking? But there we go. Get him. Again, you can see the marshal. He's kind of tucked in under the terminal. Probably a little too far, but again, because this can have some bigger, some planes, I'll leave him up there. And again, if I determine as I use it in the future, like, there's nothing that says I can't edit this later. I mean, obviously, because I'm publishing it out for other people, I want to get it as set as I can, because otherwise, people might not choose to update, so forth, but usually, I mean, you're a little bit up, but you're not this high. There's no plane you're going to be in that you're looking at. So in theory, you should be able to see that marshal no matter what we're doing. So we're going to do that. We're going to move this one a little closer. And again, You know, they tend to be lined up that way where two large movements get you there, and then you can do that. Again, nothing is parked. It's not like I can't be over those lines. This is all just how you want to do things. And again, if you're a ramp agent and you understand the rules, you know, maybe you can't stage equipment that's for a flight that's coming in. But I view this as like flight has landed and then we're calling down to ground services and saying, hey, we've landed, we're going to need baggage, we're going to need whatever, you know, however airports do that stuff. Like, this isn't parked there all the time. Like, this stuff, you know, the airport doesn't have 2 baggage trains and 2 baggage unloaders for every gate. You know, O'Hare doesn't have, you know, with 250 gates, they don't have 500 baggage loaders. You know, they've got some subset, and then you're just going ahead and working through that. So let's see, where am I at? So I'm actually going to be facing southeast still with the way this works. So again, because I copied it, it was south on apron, and so it's just obviously bringing that text over. And so there we go. As long as they populate, we know everything's good. And once again, you can see we've got something. And it's not bad, honestly. So this is the benefit of copying. Again, this is a medium. So what I likely will do, instead of putting it on the center line, I'm going to go ahead and kind of put it on, you know, what a normal taxi line would be. And then, let's see. All right, those are too big, but it's possible to shift. You know, and this gets a little trickier because I can't line up the back. You know, again, you're getting close. So this gets you there, but the piece that I was trying to explain, like, you know, this is a path. So while that plane is there and I'm potentially like overlapping and so forth. So again, we're going to go F1. I'm going to move him over here and maybe rotate a little bit more that way to square it off. And then similarly, we're going to tighten this up. And you can see, you know, we've got, okay, I hit F4. I didn't want to go F4. I want to go F1. And so now I want to rotate this, and this might just smooth out exactly the way I want. And so again, you want to kind of back away, you know, move around, take a peek. So once again, pretty nice movement. So it'll back me out and it'll immediately start to turn me. Like, that seems like a realistic path, you know. And what I was getting at is, like, yeah, if both of these planes are here at the same time, like, that wouldn't be a realistic movement. But this is this plane going through and doing that. You know, and here I've got more room because this is my heavy side, my heavy lane, and so the path is much wider. So I have enough room to turn around. But again, you can see, hopefully, how that saved me a significant amount of time, because otherwise I would just start with the plane kind of in the center, the little path out, and then as soon as I start moving the plane, it's just trying to get me there. But I have to be able to, in essence, turn the plane around 180 degrees to get it facing in the right direction. So I'm going to go over here now to L2C, which is right next to L2A. So we're literally right next door. So we were at that gate, now we're just here. Again, will you have both planes there? Probably not. You can see where the wingspan is. You can see the line coming down here. Again, if you bring in a small one, I mean, that's where, again, whatever it is, ramp agents, you know, ground services, I don't know the terminology for aviation, you know, who it is at an airport that, like, of this size that makes that determination. Like, hey, I can put these planes next to each other because their wingspan is good. Again, I'm going to back this one, Marshall, up toward the building again, because it just gives us more visibility. So, like, why not, right? All right, so that's there. All right, I'm going to just fine-tune this. Probably rotate it a little bit as well. I'm turning it, believe it or not. But I'm just trying to keep it away from the gate So, what I don't want is someone pulling up to a gate, the equipment is parked, and it's exactly what we have here. They're hitting each other, they're in the building, stuff like that. So what I'm trying to do is basically create a layout, and I think in some cases with GSX, like, it may make those go away, but I think that is determined by the scenery. Like, if that is a static image in the scenery, obviously GSX can't make it go away. So, and again, I'm staying outside the purple lines. That's a good enough layout. And so you get the idea of, kind of how this works. So I am going to probably, I'll keep recording for a little while. I'll see, when the mood strikes me and says, that's enough. But for someone who kind of wants to see it, and get familiar with the process, I think, just like anything, some people are visual learners, like just seeing what I'm doing might make sense. So again, same thing, and so you can see, like, it's the same loop, and it's just because now the gate is turned, like, everything ends up in a different place. But if you were to, in essence, plot the angles and whatever, you would see very quickly that it's the same result. Let's see. So again, I'm always kind of looking for that box and getting that, vertical pointer kind of as close as I can, and then, going ahead and rotating. So I would say, I probably need to do that. So, again, great spot, but you could see, like, trying to push out and get the plane that way, that would be difficult, especially, again, if there's someone in L4, you're going to hit them. Like, you can't do it. And so that's why you create these complex paths, and it's probably realistically what, how a plane will get pushed out here. I mean, you can see why you'd be doing that. So let's see. I probably don't need to be that far out. We'll do that so that we have room. Again, we know we have 4, but see, this is like now the way it's set. It's like telling me, yeah, you're going to have a problem. I honestly don't know what the game would do, or what GSX would do if I left it this way. Like, what a red path like that does. It probably means it would just get stuck, or you just have some totally unrealistic looking thing that happened. So again, usually when you're doing this, you need to pull yourself out a little further, and then again, we're going to see where one is, and once I make the angle shallower, we probably stop having that path. So, and sometimes it looks like, yeah, I'm a little bit slow in turning. It starts doing weird stuff like that, where again, I'd say GSX is giving me some fits, so I'm moving up and over just to keep things down. And you know what, I don't want to do that, because then I've done exactly what I said. I'm turning so fast that I'm in danger of hitting the other plane, but let's do that. Can I do that? One more. Alright. That'll be a really sharp turn, but at least, we're pushing out a ways, and that's what that gives us. See, and now, like, my rotation, I don't know why it's slowed down. I've had this happen sometimes. Sometimes it clears up, sometimes it doesn't. So you might see me doing all kinds of weird things to get things cleaned up. But, there we go. We've got 3 gates at L done. The nice thing is, things are going pretty well. I mean, my goal, I would love to finish through Stinger. I don't know that I'll be able to do that. It's been a long time. I'm honestly probably getting a little bit of a headache just from staring at this stuff. But that is kind of where I'm like, if I do that, I still have the M concourse to do. Yeah, see, this is all like rotating really slow. Drives me crazy. I don't know. And it's likely like I hit something somewhere. So let me, alright, let me go in here, Because sometimes just looking around the cockpit and then going out, like, yeah, there you go. It fixes it. So I don't understand, but at least, hey, now you know. But, well, it kind of fixes it, because now I can't move forward. So that's the other problem I do have. I do remember that. And then I'm basically out here and then trying to look far away. And a lot of times then when you move to another gate, let's see, I can't go down. I think that's the 737. No, but now the key, oh no, he's working. All right, I'm like, the keys aren't working, but yeah, it's doing weird crap with my camera too. So I don't like what's happening, but yeah. Fun stuff. All right, and again, I'm not rotating. It's when I'm hitting the... So it's like the keys have started to do something with my camera too. But like now when I'm not doing shift, it isn't doing anything. So, so I'm going to move him out there. So anyway, what I was getting at is, you know, I'm going to keep it recording, you know, just so there's footage. If you want to watch it, you'll have it. If you don't want to watch it, obviously. Okay, so I forgot to hit F4 twice. I'm moving my, you know, my cargo thing more than I want. There we go. All right. Whoops. Oh, awesome. I don't even know what happened. I'm probably, honestly, running low on power because I've actually been just leaving the plane running the whole time. It's probably warning me that my battery's going to die and I'm not going to be able to start things. So this will still be southeast, so we'll leave that. Oh no, I'm in the takeoff configuration or something. So I'm wondering, did I like do something? Oh yeah, my throttles are up. Awesome. And now they won't go down. But that's what's happening. It's like I'm set to like take off. It's like I hit the toga or something. Honestly, very, very weird. But anyway, I'm gonna try. There we go. This is gonna be hard. So I may end up exiting out and going back in. I don't know. Yeah, I can't actually move. Like now it's totally botched up. So anyway, I'll see if I can get it fixed. If I can't, I may exit the airport and come back in. So let me hit enter. So what I'm trying to do is hit enter, and then if it's going to let me move to another gate, I'm going to do that. And sometimes just the act of moving to another gate, nope, it's not doing it. So yeah, the simplest thing at this point is to load myself back in. So that is what I'm going to go ahead and do. So I'll see you after that's done. All right, so we're back in, reset in. Should be able to go to customize airport positions. Again, because we were trying to do pushback, I can just go to customize. That'll give me a quick visual if the equipment goes where I wanted it. So yep, everything got saved. I don't know what those blue dashed lines are. Oh, I see. That's the doorway and the jetway. Interesting. I didn't ever realize they were there. It just caught my eye because I'm trying to be really careful. But, you know, again, this is usable. The other thing, not so much. So why it happens, I can't tell you. It happens periodically. I can tell you that. Again, I don't think I'm bumping keys. I don't think I'm doing anything weird. But something is happening. So again, I'm going to put myself back here because again, I know I have some room. I can do that and then rotate. So let's see. So I need to get him out of the building. and also down further. And then, why did it go red? Am I not leaving myself? So let me rotate and see again if I can get myself. Okay, we'll do that, and then we'll fix that, because basically, again, that just is got to be adjusted as well. And then if I do that, everything is green. Alright, I got some weird stuff there. So let's see if I do F4. I probably need to rotate it more that way. Alright, so, and then maybe... alright. Let's see. Nope. That breaks that. That breaks that. Do I need to give myself more space? I might. So let me... Wow, it's still... It's almost like I need another waypoint, I would say. I could see if that helps, and then rotate that. Actually, so it wasn't really that so much. Yeah, that part is actually okay. It's getting the other, it's getting waypoint 1 in a position that is a little bit easier to use. Wow. Huh. Will that work? It seems to make it worse. And then if I go out there, yeah, this is more challenging than is typical. So I will indicate that. So there may just not be a nice way to do this. I'm honestly thinking, even though I don't like the idea, you know, I might just do a normal piece here. So while I'm doing that, then, so let me do this. If I go here and here, and now I hit F5, waypoint 2 will go away, or it should. I don't know why it's not. Okay, what is happening? Because if I go F1, yeah, that puts me there. F4, like F5 should let it go away, but maybe let me do F1 and then let me do F5, and now what did it do? Interesting. That is not normally how it would do it. But it's behaving that way, so we'll go with it. So I don't recall the deletion being exactly what was happening, but in essence then what I'm going to do is this, and then we'll kind of rotate that there. You know, and then in theory, I mean, we're pretty far back, but this is why, like I said, even with this gate, like, we don't have the room, but obviously from the other gate we would have not been able to do it. But I think that's going to make more sense than maneuvering everywhere. So again, you're kind of just having to make those calls as you go. My hope is that I can get the rest of this done without too much additional effort now. So now, you know, the benefit now is now we're going to start going down the gates, kind of down the terminal. So, you know, we're kind of done with the difficult ones, if you want to say that. So, L4, you know, again, if we go here, you know, I can, if nothing else, I can put it at an angle and then let the pilot do something. So let me get over here so I can see. And then again, 737 is there. The Marshall is actually okay. And then we'll move this back. Again, get ourselves aligned. Get the pushback truck up and there. We'll just make sure. Yeah, I mean, the arm's sticking out a little bit, but it's all right. I mean, it's a tight gate. So this becomes some of the challenges that I've talked about that make things a bit more difficult. So we'll do that and that. And again, sometimes you can then just do the shift over, shift up, and you've got it where you need. And it's just that quick. And it took longer, honestly, because I was still chatting with you. So, you know, when I get going, so now, once again, these are all going to be tail right coming out on this side. So I get rid of the left. And at this point, what we're doing is kind of getting ready, but you can see 6A, 6B, 6B and everything else will be okay, but 6A is going to be a little off. But that's interesting. No, it was tail left that I want. Shoot. So let me go back here. So, I mean, I saw it, so I didn't really need, but so there's a weird kink there, but that will get solved again once, as soon as I start rotating. So what I'm saying is I can do something like that, maybe. I just want to make sure I'm not, yeah, I'm still clear, so my tail would be staying clear of that, so that will work. So we'll just go ahead. I don't need to line up on a taxi path because you're going to have to play and rotate with it anyway. And so that is going to be facing southeast. So facing southeast on apron. I am not, well, I will go ahead and copy this one to, I guess it would be 6A. So I will do that, but that is as far as I will go with that. It'll make, well, let me change my tune. I am going to go with 6B. Okay, so that let me know. Let me go with 6B, translate, and then left and apply. All right. So we've got that. We did 3. So from 3, I can take this and I can put it on 5. And again, I just need right. And again, we finished 4, so we want to apply, but we want to now edit 5. So that'll be across the way here. There it is. Very close to the right location. I always love that. Move the Marshall out of the building. Move the plane back where it should be. Move the pushback truck out. Let's see. I think I'm too far. So yeah, I probably honestly need to put it over here. And then what I can do is maybe, that's too much. So we're going to rotate a little bit just to give it some room. And then again, we'll move this out. And then if that spawns, it's still realistic. So we'll move that up, and we're good with the equipment. So just that fast. And then we go push back. This is still going to be southeast, probably the last one that's southeast. The rest will be straight east. So it spawns, and now, again, we're close. I'm honestly not going to do much. I'm going to move it, and I'm gonna leave it. All right. So, and it's crashing on me again. So when the screen goes away like that, or the interface goes away for GSX, that's when you know you have a problem. Also, you can hear the sound stopped, so that is another indication. Obviously, I have my headset on since I'm recording, and so that will help be able to hear it. I think it would be harder to hear when the sound came on because it's just the fan of the airplane that's working. But yeah, it is not working. So I always hate when it does this. So again, I'm going to go start. And there's the sound right back as soon as I started Coatl. So why it happens, again, I'm not letting the percent go down, so you can see an example of not doing that. Like it just spins because GSX isn't ready yet. So there we go. So now we can customize airport positions. And you can see the sound stops there too. So it's not that it won't do that. And there we can see our tail. The good news is I can still move my camera. It usually lets you do, I don't know, 5-6 gates, but I think this is the reason that maybe like big airports like this aren't done, because you got to be a little bit of a glutton for punishment, and just be determined to work through these challenges where other folks might just be like, you know what, it keeps crashing on me, I'm done. You know, and just the sheer volume, like I said. I mean, I've done 20 hours to, probably at least, to get this far. You know, and again, you're checking, you're tweaking, because there's possibilities that things got messed up. There's names. You know, I hadn't done it for a few months. So again, this equipment is sitting now in where another plane would park. So realistically, what I really want to do is move it over, like literally all the way over there. So I'm gonna bring it this way and then put it over there, get it away from the wheels. No, because the jetway will move when we arrive, so maybe what I'll do is that, and put the other one on the other side. And then that will, I think I'm turning the wrong way. Alright, let's see. What do we got here? I need to get it visible, because I can't, like, tell what's happening. Alright, and then if we rotate it, that should work. The jetway would approach, and once again, you know, it'll go through it. It won't entirely matter, but if I'm going to try it, I'm going to try to do a good job with it. Alright, so this is going to be now, yeah, these are all facing southeast, so that will still stay that way on this side of the concourse, because none of that changes. And again, we'll get this a little closer now, because we're kind of now probably going to be taxiing, you know, where we really want to be. All right, so that'll work. And again, that gate is angled, so that is part of why that's happening. But yeah, what I was getting at is it takes time, as you can see. I mean, sure, am I going a little bit slower than I would have otherwise? A little bit. I mean, I'm moving along pretty well now. You know, because they're still checking and this and that, and you know, I'm probably actually going a little quicker in some cases than for some aspects than I would. All right, so that's fine. And I do not understand like why sometimes the stop is not aligned and other times it is. All right, And again, you know, I'm trying to keep clear of the doorways, so the logic would be, you know, if someone's coming out, they can go around that vehicle. All right. And then bring that closer, bring that up. Perfect. You know, so you can do some of these, you know, very, very quickly, honestly. So we're going to go forward and over, and we're done. So, you know, that's all it takes. And so you can do, especially if you're copying the pushback pathways, it may have hung on me again, because normally I would have expected it to appear. Yeah. So again, I usually let Coatl try to start up on its own, because it does seem to kind of have a self-healing process where it realizes, hey, I'm not running, you need me. Okay, it's not doing it. I usually wait, I don't know, what was that, 10, 15 seconds? I don't know how else to explain it. It's like I can tell that it's been long enough. It's just learning how to do it over enough time, I suppose. I mean, I'd like to keep this going until I finished all of the pieces, but I just don't know that I'm going to be able to. Like, it is just being fun, I'll tell you that. So again, we're going to customize the pushback. I should be able to see all my equipment spawn up. It's taking a while, that's for sure. But there we go. And now we get out here. And so now, this is where we're really at a repetitive point. So what I do is, you know, you kind of make that determination, and then it's like, yeah, this is a good spot. And now the gates are going to basically require very little editing. And let's see. A little too much. Move it over. I'm too close, so I can't honestly tell. Yeah. Alright, we'll do that. And then normally, you know, again, I want a little more room, and I want to have it a cleaner pushback. Now I finally have enough space, but basically the next 4 gates that I have there, like, I can copy this pushback path now onto all those. So again, I'm looking at the chart, so that's 8, 10A, 10B, 10C. And I don't have all of those. So the question is it just 10? Like, is it numbered that way? Like, I don't see a 10 anywhere else. But at this point, I can copy this, put this here, translate, you know, and then it should just be very simple edits, and that gets me all the way to the end. There's also a 12 that's showing up on the map, but I don't know that it's in the airport design, and that's like hanging off the end, so I'm not really sure how that's all playing out. Alright, so we did 6A, 6, we just did 6B, so I need to do 7, and I'm going to just leave it, because again, 7 I'll copy over to, I mean, really I can only copy it effectively to 1. I'll end up copying it to both, just because it's still going to help me out a little bit, but 11 is an angled gate. So again, not a bad placement. Got to get the person out of the building. I can't see. Yeah, that'll work. Alright. And then we want to get the plane parked where it needs to be. So again, I assume this is how it like lines up with the gate and all that. So we'll get the pushback over there. Whoops. Yeah, that'll work actually. I didn't intentionally mean to rotate it, but I'm like, you know, that actually works. So now I'm going to have to see, because again, we have stuff in the way, basically. So let's see if I do that. Maybe move it over there, and then we're good. And then for these, we just move them up a little bit so they're clear of the jetway. You know, and again, the idea would be, obviously, as people hopped on, you know, they'd get the baggage cart out of the way, and then the loaders could move. So I'm okay with throwing things together like that. I mean, I think that's just the reality of, you know, what an airport's going to look like at certain points. So L7 should be tail to the right, unless I'm crazy. But now this is going to be, we're finally now facing east, is what we're going to have, because we've got a little bit of a kink in our roadway. Okay. And what I don't like is, again, it's not drawn the equipment, so it's not working right now. The script is, in theory, coming up. So let's see. So sometimes it basically hangs like that, and then you need to stop the Coatl scripting engine. And that appears to be what I need to do, so I'm going to end task. And then we're going to... And then sometimes it starts, so I give it a little bit of time. But I think this is why people sometimes are like, I'm not editing an airport this big. Because you spend a good amount of time just playing with this, is what I've seen. If anybody is watching this and knows how to keep that from happening, like, what am I doing something weird? I'm all ears. I'm leaving this up as it should still pop up just like GSX normally does when it finally can. So there we go. And again, I'm here at 7. So push back, customize. There we go. So now the equipment all appeared, and then I get my arrow. And, you know, again, I just have the plane in the wrong place because I do. But let's see. So it looks actually not lined up too bad. And then let me move it a bit, move it over a bit, and that should work. Just make sure I'm not totally encroaching. No, it's actually not bad. And so now I can copy from gate L7 to L9. Let me do facing east, because again, it will help me later. But I can copy this to 9 and technically 11. And we should be good. So that we've got 7 done. Now we need to go do 8. So we're getting there. So again, you keep flipping sides of the terminal, and there are times like I've gone down and just done the one side and then done the other, you know, because that way you know you're getting all the gates. But what I found is sometimes I miss a gate because I don't realize that gate's on the side that I'm on, because the numbering sequence isn't always exactly right. All right, it's there properly. Let's get that done. Again, why everything is rotated, that actually is all right. You know, and you'll sometimes get exactly what we're getting here. Like, I don't need to have things right next to each other. I don't need to, you know, do a whole lot, and that's it. And then if I don't have to do that much movement, the default placement helps me. I'm able to move along. Again, this is going to be, whoops, I need left, facing southeast. So we're going to customize. Just not, you know, I want to be quick, but don't hurry. is the old John Wooden quote. I don't want to blow something up and then have to work too much at it. So you can see again, like, yeah, I got to move this over a bit. And then, yeah, I got to rotate the plane a tiny bit, but and then back this up, and then we're done. So that is where the cloning of the paths is very, very helpful. So you're kind of getting a better idea of, you know, how quickly you can get a given gate done, you know, with what you're seeing here. So let's see. Get that lined up. Okay, out of the building. Back there. Get him out of the pole. That's too much, so we'll move it back, but that's actually okay then. We'll move that there and there. Rotate this, see what we got. So same thing. Whoops. So I gotta go back, up and over. Up and over. Done with the equipment. You can see underground refueling can be turned on, so it's putting the little pieces in there. O'Hare's set up that way. You know, it is what it is. So again, this is the other side, so it's going to be right. It's facing east to the apron. We're going to apply. We're going to customize. Equipment should appear. It does. That means we're good. And, you know, really, really close to what we need. So just fine-tuning. You know, get that done. Again, maybe back it up one extra. Go ahead and do it. Just what feels right, what seems like, hey, a reasonable pushback and so forth is what you're trying to do. So again, these are now small gates, so we're not going to have such big planes. You know, and again, this one's a little crooked compared to the others. So, okay, so I see. So 10B and 10 are basically the same. So that might be why it didn't have, because it shows 10B on the chart, but that may be why it was set that way. All right, so we can move the marshaller back a bit, give it some room for other planes. There we go. Up and over. So, you know, a lot of times you can see, like, GSX isn't horrendous at what it estimates. Sometimes it works out. Again, that was a little too close, so I'm going to back it up. But, you know, you just play those, and the fact that it lets you do this is really great. But you can see, there's a lot of things you can do. You can set the max, you know, and the wingspan is set, you know, small, medium, large, like it does work through some of that for you. All right, left, southeast, customize. You can hit enter, and it also does take the apply. I don't know, that might be part of what's causing me my problem. Who knows? But again, because we're angled a bit, we've got this situation. So, you know, it's the path is the same. Again, it's just needs to be different because of where we're at. So, all right, so F3, and then, whoops, I just want a viewpoint. I'm trying to do it without picking up the controller, but it ain't working. It's actually fine. So we'll let that go, and then we're going to stay basically on this side for the next two gates. And you can see the plane just shifts, and everything's there, and we're ready to go. I swear and again, they've updated GSX multiple times since I've been working on it, but I swear I don't remember those blue points. So, for the doorway. I mean, it's nice. Helps you line things up a little bit better, but just can't get a good angle of, am I really lined up? And as you can see, clearly I was not. Alright, so see that? It's perfectly fine where it's at. That is also fine where it's at. I can move that over, move it a little bit more. Again, we got to rotate, figure out where the baggage is. Whoops, I'm hitting the wrong thing. Whoops, now I'm hitting too many buttons. So I am going to put this there, and we're going to put it there, and then I think we'll be good, because that jetway should go away from me. But at least, again, a little bit of a challenge of trying to actually stay clear and give it what it needs. So left, apply, customize. So yeah, I don't know if it times out, because I haven't like tried to check on gates, and what I'm thinking of is when it locks. So I apologize. I'm like half speaking, because again, I'm focusing on doing this work and talking to you at the same time. But let's see, that'll work. Move it back one and save by hitting enter. And we got one more gate, or no, two more gates. One more gate on this side. So we'll go over here, customize, because sometimes it seems like I can get more gates done, so I don't know if it's a timing thing. Alright, so yeah, so gate 12 is here on the chart, but clearly in what they designed here, there's no gate. So I'm glad that that worked out that way, because again, like, the game will send things to, say, beyond ATC, and it's not going to try to park me at gate 12, even though there's a gate 12 on the chart, because it's gone. Alright, so we're going to move them back a bit. We're going to move the stop back. Move that over, because yeah, I need to stay clear. I need to be on this side, so actually this is okay. We'll move that over, and then let's see what we've got, because see, like, those are kind of in the taxiway roadway. Like, I'm moving the cargo thing. I just get, it's hard to be totally accurate with that. But there we go. Everything's nice and compact and right up where it needs to be. But you can see, like, it's putting the fuel on the line, which I don't know that that would really be in that location. I'm honestly not sure. I've never looked if we can position it. Yeah, it's just a checkbox. So I think it just determines where it needs to be. Alright, and I am just going to push back the one way. I mean, in theory, you could say, hey, this gate's up here. I could go the other way, but they can go either way from here. And it's not as challenging, or it doesn't make as much sense, because I would really be... I'd probably need a custom pushback to do anything else. Alright, let me see. Man, it is so difficult to get things really lined up, and as I said, it's just one of those, it just depends how OCD you want to be with getting everything in the lines and so forth. You know, it doesn't require it. The planes, you know, it's a big plane. It's obviously being off, whatever, 6 inches or whatever I'm actually moving. Does it really matter? I don't know. So, alright. But yeah, and then we just have the Stinger left, which I think just has 4 gates, maybe 5. And then I've hit my goal. So, alright, so that guy's past the barriers. We're going to bring him closer. Alright, that is like staggering, you know, straddling the barrier. Let me make sure that's not sitting on those containers. Nope, it's clear. So that will work. Alright, so again, it's on the stairway. So I don't want to be doing that. So this, yeah, this is now where it starts to get interesting. You know, and this is where I would argue the fun is, because it's like, well, how am I going to position this in a way that makes sense? Are they hitting? Yes, they are. So that won't really work. So what I will probably do is I'll take advantage of the fact that I have this space, and I will move this over here. And then the other one actually might, no, it's not quite okay, because no, it's not okay at all, let's be honest. But I can put it there, that will work. And then we go a couple over, again, rotate, move that there. Rotate, and what I'll do is that, and then basically they're just in front of each other a little bit, but you know, you got to get creative sometimes, and so this lets you do exactly what you need to do. So really cool system, and I just love the fact that GSX is built in such a way that then this isn't just effort for me, I can share it with other people. And they don't need to reinvent the wheel. And so that's partially why I'm willing to go through all this work. So you can see, I don't know why there are stairs. Oh, is there no jetway? Because that jetway's for that. So I may have to take a quicker peek here, because, yeah, obviously I don't want the stairs sitting there. That would be bad. So let me take a look. And again, I'm not going to push it out the other way. I'm just going to go in one direction here. And some of it is, I don't know. I don't know that I'd say it's laziness. It's so close and it's such a tight turn. And once again, like, this lets you go everywhere you need to go. So why would you, you know, make it more difficult than you need to? All right, we're not on the line yet. It's far enough back for sure. Okay. So let me go back to the equipment, because, yeah, I missed that this doesn't have a jetway. Yeah, no jetway. So we got a few more things we need to worry about here. So we've got, it's going to cycle us through. So we've got our baggage loader. That's the cargo main train, but we're not doing that. Then it's doing our other loaders, and then this is our baggage. Wait, our baggage loader front. Oh, okay, that's right. Okay, so here we go. So passenger stairs rear. So obviously we want to, you know, get that. Well, the reality is, again, like, I need to stage them somewhere that they can show up when they need to. That actually will work. And then passenger stairs middle. Again, we don't see them, but that is where they'll be, and they'll be facing this way. So we'll do that. And then passenger stairs front. Let's see. There we go. So we can see them. And I don't want to block the marshaller, so we're going to do it that way. And then if it needs to do anything, because again, you're likely going to be running smaller planes, but it does have, you know, 737 and all that, so don't know. But now we have the equipment set effectively for that gate. So let's move on to the Stinger. All right, we have 5. I thought we only had, no, I see where it is. just hard. I can't actually see the gate number, but there we go. So we're just across the way. Why it's called the stinger, I don't know, because it sticks out, I guess, and it looks like a scorpion stinger. So some architect was like, I'm going to use this cool name. We're going to call it the stinger. So once again, the marshaller has got to be there. The plane there. It's probably going to be really hard to see. I have at times moved the marshallers out to the side. I don't know how realistic that is. Let's see. He's not clear yet. It's the thing I don't understand. I mean, I guess the jetway will move. I mean, I'm on the 737 mark, but you can see where it is right now. Okay, where are we going to place? I might put the baggage things over there, honestly, because there isn't a ton of space. So if I put them here and just line them up there, then they can take off from there. So that would work. But I will say, I mean, if you like some creativity, you know, obviously around this particular situation, you know, it gives you, you can pretty much do what you need. So it's pretty sweet the way it works. All right. And again, I'm not going to copy this one because it doesn't make sense. So this will go tail to the left. I think will work. So we're going to see if we have enough room. I think we do, because, I mean, we're all the way out by L3 again. So let's see. We'll rotate a little bit more. We'll back it up there, maybe move it there. You know, I'm thinking we're gonna like clip the stairs, so I'm gonna move it there, and then the pilot can do his thing after that. Because obviously the L1 path is more for, you know, again, a plane to get in there and do what it needs to. And so this is facing southeast on apron. So I'm not going to copy this one because it really doesn't, it's not repeatable, where these others will be, and really 24 will kind of be impacted in a way because it's angled again. But there are keystrokes, by the way, that you can move from one gate to the other. I just like to do this because I know which gate I'm picking. There's nothing ambiguous, and then, you know, again, when I'm looking at the chart, I know exactly where I am, and so forth. All right, he's probably okay, slightly under there like that, so we'll leave him alone. We'll do that. Move them forward, but not quite, and then they tend to be about aligned, so you can, again, we need to make sure there's nothing behind there that we're missing. And then easy peasy with these, we'll move, well, not so easy. Well, you know what, I can just do that. Like, I don't have to be off the red. I mean, that I think that's acceptable if I'm a worker to be on the tarmac and so forth. All right, and then we want pushback. Again, these are all going to be left because there's nowhere for them to go to the right. So, all right, and it's not drawing, so you know what that means. So the scripting engine hasn't crashed yet. Probably not going to wait because it's just not going to fix itself. It just doesn't do that. Sound is back. Just let it run for a bit. Get some water. I'm getting very parched. Yeah, if I suddenly stop talking and then don't edit it, I've passed out and collapsed. I definitely am not like feeling like I feel like I should have stopped and moved like a while ago. But at this point, it's like I'm so close, I just want to finish. But I'm pushing my stamina a little bit. There we go. All right. I may just line it up with what I need because otherwise it's just gonna drive me nuts. So I may put it on the path, even though. So yeah, that looks good. And then it's just how far back do we go? That'll work. Okay. That'll allow me to copy and still use it for the other gates, is what I'm doing there. So, and then facing east on apron, because now we're not angled. All right, and then I copy, and I put that on all of them. And that will speed the last 3 up, because it will. All right, so 22, customize the parking. But yeah, just a bunch of tiny little gates. And I'm not sure that this existed when I used to be there. I mean, I've not been in the Chicago area now for 20 years. Again, I may have flown through O'Hare, but it's not, you know, for other business trips. But, you know, not when I lived there and then was obviously traveling, going to a lot more gates because, you know, I was traveling from there because that was my home base. But not the situation we've got. So the good news is configuration's very, very similar. So again, we'll just get closer. Done. I'm thinking the next gate will be very simple. Man, it crashed on me after one thing? Honestly? Alright, that's pretty rare. I mean, it happens, but that's pretty rare. I mean, yes, and if I have to reset or something, like fully exit, I'm going to call mercy and be done. Because I'm not going to come back in and just work 2 gates. I mean, I've got tons of work in this airport still to go. Alright, I don't think... No, it's not starting. So we're going to try to force it. There it goes. Again, kind of that double check. The sound starts up again. Why that all works that way, I don't know. But it does. Alright, customize positions, and then push back, face east, apply, and customize. And it should throw everything on. There we go. And again, pretty close, so we just kind of get ourselves lined up where we're happy with the viewpoint. Get it kind of pointing there. Rotate. Again, go back a little bit, and done. I thought I had hit enter, but I guess must have just brushed it. So, 2 more. We are within spitting distance, but hopefully, again, if you are looking to do this, if you're looking to do GSX editing, you know, hopefully this gives you what you need. And this really, I mean, there's more to it. Like, you could, like for the stairs, for example, like I can do passenger waypoints and stuff and walk them to the door and whatever. Like I may touch those things up in the future. That really was the first gate. You know, I'm sure I'm going to be doing it more in the GA side, but I'll have to see, you know, how challenging it is. And, you know, the reality is how many people are going to use GSX out with, you know, their Cessna 172. Not a whole lot. So it's kind of cost benefit like anything. At some point, I may just call enough, call uncle and be like, yeah, I think I've given 99.9% of the people, or even 99.9% of the people, everything they need to enjoy this airport. I mean, like I said, the fact I've seen some edits. I don't know that they're specifically for this version, for the payware version. I've seen some O'Hare files that are like Concourse B and C, which are the big ones. So I get that, that may be, like, for most people, that may be enough. But I was like, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to get the whole airport functional, so that if someone can come in anywhere and the entire thing is usable. So I didn't save it. Shoot. Probably have to redo that piece, but that's all right. All right. Let me raise up. Maybe that's part of the visibility too. Is I'm like zoomed in a bit too much, but sometimes I feel like I can't really see, but in this case I certainly can. All right, that'll work. And then 24 may actually be, it did not remember that part. 24 may be at a similar angle. So yeah, this is right by the entrance to the airport, comes in there, where the highway comes in, and so these are the bridges the planes go over. So if you're familiar with O'Hare at all, that kind of gives you the bearings of where we're at. And like I said, you can't really see from the road if this is there. So like I said, maybe the stinger thing was there. I'm going to back her up a little bit and then move that. Just seems close to the building, so I'm not liking that too much. Oops. Didn't mean to hit that. And then I think we've got plenty of room over here. But yeah, definitely not going to back out, because that is the main taxiway. So we're absolutely just going to stick with... oops. I moved the cargo thing, which again we're not using. Let me back that off some. And there we go. That'll work. Nicely staggered. Looks like a professional parking job, right? All right, but yeah, we're not going to go out two directions, because that was the thing, because that would just be blocking the roadway, which would be ridiculous. So I remembered, so you can see a car going down there, because that is the thing. We are spawned in the airport while we're doing this, so you will see the ground equipment go by, and whatever the airport normally does when it's functioning. So you may or may not have noticed that in some cases, but like there's a train that just went by, so whatever is going on, like all of that is still working, so that you can also see how things line up. Let's see, that's probably good enough. All right, so this is a big deal, to be honest, because Terminal 5 is the international terminal, if I remember correctly. So that is kind of its own beast. And yeah, like I can see that now. So I'm going to bring, whoops, I got to bring the whole Navigraph over. I can't just slide the chart. So this is Terminal M. That's Terminal 5. And it's across the roadway, as we said. We're here, and that's the roadway, and so you've got all of that set up there. So I didn't even ever notice these insets. That's interesting. I should probably look at that. So I mean, there's a good amount of gates. So like this is going to take time in and of itself, but we've also got, I think, like like GA pads and whatever. Like that, this is where we transition. I mean, we're gonna start with the gates. We're gonna get it done. But at this point, like, I have all of this complete in the profile now, and I really had like half of it. So this kind of finished the remainder of the bit and bagel, whatever the hell you want to call whatever this thing. Clearly a little slap happy, but you know, we've got things here and there. But I'm trying to remember. Oh yeah, if I go to details, so here you go. 277 parking spots. I have customized 167 of them. So I am more ahead. And again, you can see custom pushback rows. I assume that's where I move things. Custom handling. Again, I don't know what specifically that is, but obviously parking, moved planes around, positions. That's probably when I move any of the equipment. So that's honestly probably, if you take 167 times what, it would be the pushback engine, the 2 baggage loaders, and the 2 baggage carts. So 5 per. So the question is, like, if you multiplied by 5, are you close? But again, I'm not always moving everything. So, that's what it is, where otherwise it's just in there. And this type of thing, like this, when I publish it, it'll show that, hey, the mature simmer created it, and so forth. So, so that is what that is for, but I knew that stat was out there and that we'd be able to then see where we're at. But that is the plan to get things done, and hopefully, as I was starting to say, if you are looking to do some GSX profile editing, while this was more of a just raw, hey, follow me along and look over my shoulder as I work type thing, hopefully that'll get you enough to do most things. Because realistically, like, changing where the equipment is, moving, editing the parking position and doing the pushback, I think is the majority of what most people are going to do or care about. Because like there's nothing that I am aware of that you need to do, like, for catering or refueling, other than, again, you got the underground refueling and this and that. If you don't have underground refueling, obviously a fuel truck comes up and it's just got the fuel and it connects from there. Versus it's just a pumper through the underground fueling or something like that. But there's nothing that I'm aware of in the GSX profile that you need to edit. All of that will happen based on the aircraft, and again, you only need to create something with a custom aircraft if you have some obscure aircraft you're using that GSX like doesn't know where the doors are and so forth. So that's what the custom aircraft versus custom aircraft position is going to do. And like I said, the only additions are, the passenger waypoints, where they would walk and this and that. Because I think you can also edit things like the buses, the passenger buses that would be coming. I think you can set the routes for that. And, depending how ambitious I get, I may take a look at that at other parts of the airport. Because, once again, if I go back in here just before we head out, and we look at, at this, again, we've got the terminal, so 21 gates, give or take. Sometimes gate numbers are missing and so forth. And then the East Port has just 2 things, and then, we've got 11 cargo spots, 18 for South Cargo Ramp, 16. There's not a small amount. And then cargo ramp, and then just 10 general aviations. So that's the thing. And that may be really, somewhat reasonable for O'Hare, because again, just think about being like a little Cessna here. Again, I always go with like the Cessna 172. Think about being that kind of a plane and just the intimidation you'd have. I don't care what kind of pilot you are and how long you've done it. Just staying out of the way, knowing that, okay, these guys are spending a heck of a lot more money to use this airport than I am, and they got places to be, and they're going to get passengers who want refunds or whatever, like I need to do everything perfectly. I can't even imagine the stress level of being a little Cessna here, if you could even do that. I mean, the 10 GA spots may simply be for like corporate jets or something, so you might need like a Gulfstream or a Learjet or something like that to be able to go in and out of O'Hare. I'm not sure, but I'll worry about those spaces when I get there. But the good news is, I basically have 110 more to do, and really, I think certain things will get easier, because again, if you think about like the cargo, I'm not gonna have to deal with baggage carts and baggage loaders, because you're not doing that, you're just loading the cargo. So it's going to be like the opposite. Instead of having 4 things I have to position, I'm just going to need the cargo train and the cargo main and then the cargo train, and then that is all I'm going to need. Maybe I put 2 of those in or something, or it gives me that. We'll see. And I won't have a jetway, so the parking position will be a little bit more fluid. And once again, you're not dealing with jetways and gates that you have to back out of, so I assume there's just more real estate as well. I mean, I'm pretty sure, like, some of the... Well, no, this is the M terminal that we're going to work on. I was going to say this may be the cargo, but no, this is the international terminal. So again, we go around and over to the edge, but 20 gates at this point. It's going to be nothing compared to what I did, because once again, there's plenty of real estate here. I may be able to copy the pushback. Like, these may go quick next time, which was my hope, and that was partially why I wanted to get what I got done, because I just felt, there's just a lot here that we can enjoy. So hopefully I've given you what you need. I've said that like 17 times. If you've enjoyed this, haven't dropped a like, please consider that. I know there are people who have asked me, like, hey, when I'm doing my golf course design, like they're asking to see that stuff. So maybe I'll do more of that to the channel, but let me know in the comments, like this being really the first kind of, hey, I'm working on something in the background type thing, and that it's not just a flat out tutorial on how do you use this product, because again, probably very few people are going to create profiles like this. Most people, when they're using GSX, are flying, and I include that, or I've talked about that, I think, other ways. Those are more the tutorials that make sense. But if you enjoyed this and you want to see more of, hey, you're working on creating a golf course, you're working on creating a train route, you're doing whatever, like, sure, just share that with us. Some of us want to see that. Let me know, because I did have some folks on the golf course side, when I've commented, they're like, that would be a cool series, like, we'd like to see it. And I've been up front, I'm like, I'm not an expert at this, I'm learning it as I go along, but for people who are also trying to fumble along, maybe they'd enjoy it. Where I'm much more competent with this. Like, I obviously didn't start showing you my initial forays and trying to learn all those waypoints and doing all that stuff on the pushback. That took some time to just understand how it worked. So you definitely are getting a little bit of expertise here in the profiling. But if you are not a subscriber, that will help you keep up with what's going on the channel as well. And I will see you next time.